Meeting of the Eastpointe City Council on Tuesday, March 1st at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation given by Councilwoman Sarah Lucido. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, we are so thankful for the many blessings you have given us. Let us be mindful of those less fortunate and do what we can to help them. Assisting our neighbors, friends, and strangers alike is how a community develops and thrives. Let the city of Eastpointe be the model for community. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Council, tonight we have a number of employee service awards and a presentation, so we can go down to the podium if you would mind, and we'll give the awards. And Mr. Duchesne is going to do the discussion behind the award. Please, Mr. Duchesne.
Lori Hicks, please. Lori Hicks is the Personnel and Purchasing Assistant in the Office of City Management. This year's inaugural Distinguished Resident Service Award is presented to Lori Hicks. Lori joined the city in 2015 as Personnel Purchasing Assistant in the Office of City Management. In a very short time, she established herself as a consistent and contributing member of the staff who exhibits her daily positive attitude and helpful nature and professionalism in all her interactions with fellow staff and the public. Beyond the actions for which this award is bestowed upon her, she exhibits insight, thoughtfulness, and caring to the residents, board and commission members, elected officials, and co-workers. Especially notable this year and specific for the award nomination, we recognize Ms. Hicks, who on 3 occasions went above and beyond and out of her daily responsibilities to assist residents, typically of her approach to her job. On one occasion, she assisted a homeowner attempting to resolve a hanging line problem on their property, taking the time to call utility and cable representatives repeatedly until the problem was solved, refusing to take no for an answer. Why? Because she promised the resident she would do all she could to help. In another circumstance, a resident in need of handicap access to their home contacted the city manager's office out of frustration after having no success on her own. Ms. Hicks doggedly sought a successful solution to the problem, often on her own time. Finally, a resident having some difficulty understanding the process of water billing was met with courtesy, kindness, and a patient explanation by Ms. Hicks, well beyond what her job requires. Lori's efforts prompted the resident to call our elected officials to ensure that she was acknowledged for her assistance. In these examples and in her daily conduct, we find it appropriate, and it's with great pride that I present the City of Eastpointe Distinguished Resident Service Award to Ms. Lori Hicks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Firefighter Paramedic Joe Zangara. This year's inaugural Professional Service Award is presented to Joe Zangara. Joe joined the city in 2007 as a firefighter paramedic. Mr. Zangara's professionalism within the fire department community are outstanding features of his job. He takes time to interact with the Eastpointe residents, many of them calling or stopping by to see him with questions and general conversation. Mr. Zangara has been the fire department point person on several federal grant writing opportunities that have resulted in positive upgrades for the department. Some of the upgrades include thermal imagers, turnout gear, and self-contained breathing apparatuses, which help the fire department serve the community better. Mr. Zangara is also a part-time instructor at the Oakland County Fire Academy. Joe's involvement with Fire Academy reflects positively on Eastpointe as well as the entire fire department. During the SMORSA campaign, Mr. Zangara communicated with our residents, answering many questions and helping them to understand the magnitude of this decision for the city of Eastpointe. These are a few of the examples why I take great pride in presenting Mr. Joe Zangara with the City of Eastpointe's Professional Service Award. Mr. Tony Pry. This year's inaugural Public Service Achievement Award is presented to Tony Pry. Tony joined the city in 2008 as Chief Mechanic, Fleet Supervisor for Public Works and Services. In 2014, he was promoted to Public Works and Services Supervisor, and in 2016, promoted to Superintendent of Public Works. Mr. Pry takes great pride in his work output and makes himself available to the residents, contractors, and vendors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mr. Pry successfully oversaw one of Eastpointe's busiest construction seasons in its history with approximately $13 million of public infrastructure projects in 2015. He accomplished this along with other responsibilities such as upgrading the Downtown Development Authority brickwork and curbs, coordinating with Consumers Energy on the largest replacement of gas mains within the city, as well as handling the day-to-day operations of the Public Works Department. On several occasions, Mr. Pry has gone the extra mile to accommodate access for elderly and handicapped residents when their street is being reconstructed. When residents present Mr. Pry with a valid complaint, he will try to find a way not only to resolve the complaint, but make the extra effort to make sure the resident is satisfied. These are a few examples of why I take great pride in presenting Mr. Tony Pry with the City of Eastpointe Public Service Achievement Award.
What a great-
There would have been another answer.
No, you've just been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. In concert with the presentation, there are a couple of awards received that coordinate well with the last discussion, Mr. Pry in Public Works. As Mr. Blum is holding, our first award received from the Concrete Awards ceremony on February 25th in Plymouth, Michigan. The Michigan Concrete Association awarded the city and its engineering contractor, AEW, with an award for the construction of Stevens Road, northbound Kelly to I-94. The last season construction, maintaining homeowner access for the residents and access to a city park, all combined to present a unique challenge. Florence Cement is recognized for meeting the challenge and constructing a new road while providing the community with a new sledding hill, all within the project limits. And again, that ties well to Tony's award, and that's why I'm mentioning it tonight, how coordination and the need to do so was recognized not only in the street construction, but in the coordination with the public facility. Also received this year was the project Beaconsfield Avenue, 9 Mile to Biscayne Avenue. Again, the contractor, Florence Cement, Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick, are engineers, and again, I recognize the work of Superintendent Pry in coordinating this successful project. So there's another award from the Michigan Concrete Association that we'll probably display.
Well done.
Almost as heavy as an Academy Award.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
It's got a pothole in it.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico.
Here.
Councilperson Lucido.
Here.
Councilperson Kleinfeld. Councilperson Marion.
Here.
Mayor Pixley.
Here. Kleinfeld is going to be a few minutes late. He's caught in traffic in all this big snowstorm, but he's on his way. So with that, we'll move to the first hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? Mr. Creech.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. And as far as the Employee Services Awards, they're great people. I've worked with Lori and Tony, and you ask them questions, they'll do the best they can to get the jobs done. So you can't, I don't ask any more than that that I can. One of the reasons I guess I'm here is I discussed this with the city manager too. On a lot of our projects, I want to know who has the final say on them to give them clearance for payment and to make sure their jobs are totally done. I discussed this with Steve, and the people are, I know he's not passing the buck, but the people are supposed to be responsible, as far as I'm concerned, are not doing their job. So the check and balance system, as far as I'm concerned, for this city is not being done very well. So someone has to be a little bit more responsible. And I don't know if he went and checked the few of the things that I've told him. He said he could get around to it. I'll get back with him on that. I hope he has. But I know we have warranties and guarantees and notees is what I'm starting to look at right now. They're just running past service dates or the rest of the stuff. I know the parking lots and the curbs and other things that, to my knowledge, if they're being done, they're not being done properly, or they should be taken care of when they crack, or they need to be taken care of right away. Not given a season, not given duress or the same difference. They're going to come back and they're going to fix it. They need to fix it right then before payment is made. And I hope, hopefully, I said the council itself, I know they're not supposed to go out there because it's not their job. Like I said once before, and people asked me, they said, Mr. Creech, you have an engineering degree. I do not have an engineering degree, but I do know one thing. Water doesn't roll uphill. And if you look at some of the rest of the things that you see around here, their jobs are done poorly. We've heard that, a lot of our expertise has left Michigan, which I do know. And what we've got left isn't the best in the world. I'm glad to see that we're getting some of the awards and the rest of the stuff. But some of the people that are doing some of our jobs, whoever they're subcontracting or the rest of this stuff to, is very bad. So there again too, hopefully on the rest, I'd really like to find out exactly this project that's going down Gratiot. And a lot of people are asking, they want to know what it is, where it's going, what it's going to cost, and who's going to pick up the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. And council, in front of you tonight was the adoption of resolution number 1809 related to hardship exemption policies and guidelines. I'd like a motion, please, to add that to our agenda as item number G, F.
Madam Mayor, I'll make
And
a
then
motion.
also, if we could make a motion to table item E until our next council meeting.
All right, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to add resolution number 1809 as item F to the agenda and to table item E, review and discussion of fiscal management plan.
Can we get support?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Then we move on to the approval of the minutes from the first meeting, the special meeting of February 9th, 2016.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the special meeting minutes of February 9th, 2016.
We have support.
Support?
Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. And the second item is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of February 16th, 2016.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of February 16th, 2016.
Support?
Move in support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido.
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings and no unfinished business, so we'll move on to reports from administration. We'll start with our city manager, Mr. Duchesne.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll be very brief tonight. I have received, and I'll put in the packages this week, and I must compliment Finance Director Blum for patience in working with the organization known as Standard & Poor's. Standard & Poor's Ratings and Services is part of McGraw-Hill Financial, and basically on a as-need or annual basis or a 3-year basis, depending on the status of your bonding or activities financially in the city. This organization is one of those, and the leading one, that rates your financial capacity, your financial management, and the ability of the city overall economically to operate as a government. Standard & Poor's Rating Services recently, after many conversations with myself and primarily Mr. Blum, who has the patience of Job with these folks, and now that I have the rating, I can say that. The letter was received today affirms the rating of the City of Eastpointe as A+ and includes an improvement to A+ stable from A+ negative. There's a few things that you'll note in here, and one part of it was certainly tied to what we'll be discussing and reviewing our financial management policies, because not everybody utilizes and adopts those. And I will read a little bit from the rationale on why they reaffirmed and improved our rating. The assessment factors, you'll note, and we have to accept that we have still, in their opinion, a weak economy with market value in the area, and our market value in Eastpointe of $28,372 per capita. However, the problem is the metropolitan statistical area, which of course Detroit still in this area has a weaker economy than nationally they would like to see. The second point, very proud of continuing the most recent rating, which stated very strong management with strong financial policies and practices under our financial management assessment technology, and very strong budgetary flexibility with maintenance of fund balance that we have, strong liquidity, strong debt, and strong institutional framework. And some of these are detailed in a stronger position. So I'm very proud to report to you, as representatives of the people and the owners of the corporation, that we have done as well as we can do without fixing Michigan's economy. And we probably would have a better chance of doing that if we were in Lansing than the present leadership. But we have to do what we have to do, and we've done all that we can regarding the City of Eastpointe's financial management, and I'll have those for you this week. And with that, thank you for the recognition of the employees. They are, after all, the engine that makes the service delivery of the city of government work, and I appreciate you recognizing them tonight. Thank you.
Any questions?
I just had two requests, maybe not questions. One, just after driving up and down 9 Mile a little bit the last week, might be a little hard to tell today now with all the snow, but if we could just kind of scan for, or if residents can let us know if they see a pothole. There are just a couple on 9 Mile that were, probably just popped up after the winter here. And then also, for the minutes, can we add discussion for motions? Right now in the minutes, we have the discussion for, like right now, for the city manager, finance director, and city attorney reports, but for the motions, we just say if it passes or fails. Don't have any, if we can summarize the discussion during that. Doesn't have to be lengthy, just a little bit of something that would be nice for the minutes.
Well, the taking of the minutes, it would depends on the issue in specific. We tend to be factual and not put too much dicta in our discussion, because that does vary, and frankly, then there's a question of what nuance or inundations you may miss in the process. So, I mean, that's
Same thing for
this
reports.
is real. Yeah, it's a real challenge for the note taker to know and discern. So primarily, we get down the the A's and A's and those kinds of things, and when there's something substantive that needs to be pointed out. But it's something we can take into account. On the potholes, back on that, I want to say, it's good to report them if you feel you can through the app that we have the Contact Us, but frankly, there's a constant pothole patrol process going on, so if it's not caught today, there's a good chance that it's in the process to do that. So I don't want people to feel, don't pull off or run off the road to report a pothole. But we do have an app that you can download that has a pothole and location thing. Contact us on the website, and of course you certainly can call. But that is a process that we're continually doing.
I thought it was completed today.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
For the snow.
Oh. Yeah, you're not counting the snow filling it in it. Thank you, Madam Mayor, that was all.
Ms. Lucido, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right, we'll move on to Mr. Blum.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, I have nothing specific to report tonight, but if you have any questions, fire away.
Anybody?
Well, it just looks like the assessments went out. I received mine already, so
Yes.
everyone look out for that. Should be positive, right, for everybody, pretty much.
I think we might comment on that in a moment. Yeah, the market values are going to be up, but of course,
Well, for us,
you know.
as a city.
Yeah, it's
Not
a
as positive. I
schizophrenia.
understand.
The good news is market value is over 11%, fifth in Macomb County. Great news for the owner. City government operations is 0.33 going to be our taxable value increase, which is probably not as happy as we'd like.
Might not cover all the cost increases.
May not.
Yeah, if you need a home or a home equity loan, you might have a shot.
That was all. Or wait, no, hold on, sorry. In the check register, the BSNA computer equipment, it's 109,150. I was wondering just what that meant.
Actually, I do not know the answer on that one. I'll have to look it up and shoot an email out.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
That was all.
All right. Mr. Albright, City Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I was in court yesterday for creditor's examination regarding the representative of the defendant in the Colonial Dodge litigation. That individual failed to appear, and so the court granted my request to set the matter for a show cause hearing. That matter is set for a show cause hearing later this month. If that individual does not appear, the court will issue a bench warrant directed towards that person. I've also been in contact with the attorney for the school board regarding the rezoning request denial that was part of the agenda at the last meeting. He will be discussing that rezoning denial with his client and sending out the appropriate notice. And other than that, Madam Mayor, the council's in receipt of our monthly status report. I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have regarding that. I apologize for the length. It's 13 and a half pages, but a lot of stuff going on.
Anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Very thorough.
Very nicely done. All right, let's move on to new business, and we have a couple bid awards. The first one is 2016 Combined Area Sewer CCT Investigation. So I need a motion for that, please.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to award the bid for the 2016 Combined Area Storm CCTV investigation to United Resources LLC of 32940 Capitol Street, Livonia, Michigan, for $475,939, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this bid.
Support.
Move and support. Any questions?
Yes, just a couple. Does that, looking at the introduction here, it looks like we are using the rest of the SAW grant funds that we had then? Is that correct?
It's not all of it, no. We've actually only spent about 300,000 of that SAW grant to date.
Oh, okay.
It's been an ongoing process as we do different segments. But what happens is we pay the bill and then get reimbursed. So we'll pay the contractor, the state will reimburse us.
So then what was I think I didn't understand the difference in cost, $41,667 then? Because it says we're doing the local match of 137,672. I assumed, let's see, my number.
Right, I mean, for the total projects that we're gonna do, the city will have to contribute on $137,672 towards the project. I have no idea what the 41,000 is.
Okay.
That was
So if we have
not
so
my
much
write-up,
left,
and
I
I'm not
just
exactly
assumed-
There's a,
Engineer?
trying to think, there's a requirement regarding, yeah, our contribution, there's a budgeted amount that's approved by the state in the project, and if there's a difference in that amount, then that's what they're referring to as the 41,667 addition. Yeah, we have to pick up a greater amount when it hits a certain budgeted amount approved by the state in the grant.
Okay.
So there's a local share that's upfront match, 137, and then you add that because of the budget numbers that came into it. It's sort of an adjustment by the state.
Okay.
So I have a question, because we've been doing this for a while in the SAW grant. You still have funds left in that. So what's the remaining area in the city that we have to do yet?
Well, right now, Monday, we just started, from Stevens to Schroeder to 94 to 10 Mile Road. We have 3 different companies in right now. We're doing open cut, we're doing winding and cammering. And we haven't decided what section we're gonna go next, but we're probably gonna go west. Unless I can talk to Steven to let me buy some back.
What? Who?
Okay. So please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. And the second item under the bid awards is for the new generator for the fire station.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to award a fire department generator bid to the airport lighting out of Lansing, Michigan for $82,400 with a contingency amount of $8,000 with a total project cost of $90,400 and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this contract.
Support.
Move support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion?
Wait, hold.
Yeah.
You have more
before-
discussion?
Yeah, sorry, before we go to vote. And we said before that this was going to be portable.
Yeah,
we
it can be
move it.
relocated should we relocate in the future.
Okay.
So is it propane?
Natural gas.
Natural gas?
So we'll just need
Amen.
a new line or whatever, wherever the new building is. Okay, and then, so since we're buying this earlier than before, I know we did this, almost 2 years ago with the, front loader, and we needed a deficit elimination plan. What were we doing differently, this time, Mr. Blum? We're taking the funds out of general fund instead of.
Correct.
Last time we,
Last time was motor pool, and that's what caused the deficit issue there. Yeah, this is general fund money. There will be a year-end budget amendment that will account for this, assuming you approve it. But yeah,
so then how come last time we didn't just do the same thing? And it would have prevented us from having to do the elimination plan, I think?
no, it's the way the state calculates a deficit within a fund. It had nothing, I mean, the front-end loader helped cause the deficit, but it wasn't because of a budgetary or budget amendment issue. It was just the current assets versus current liability calculation that we have to do for the state. And that's what drove the previous problem.
Okay. That was all, Madam Mayor.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Item B is the approval of the tentative agreement between the Eastpointe Police Command Officers and the City of Eastpointe for 2015-2017. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I motion to approve the Eastpointe Command Officers Association 2015-2017 Collective Bargaining Tentative Agreement as presented and authorize the city manager to execute all documents related to this tentative agreement.
Support.
Move and support it. So, Mr. Duchesne, is this retroactive then to July 1, 2015?
In the final agreement, we did go retroactive with the settlement under our last proposal. In condition with our last proposal, we agreed to retroactivity.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico? Oh, excuse me, Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Item C is the approval of the master agreement for the municipal street lighting and Exhibit A to the master agreement for the purchase agreement. We have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the master agreement for municipal street lighting and Exhibit A to master agreement, purchase agreement, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Do we have support?
Support?
Any discussion?
I got a question on how some of this is generated. I asked for a copy of the street lighting map and got it. I had already done a survey of a little section of the city, and come to find out, their map is pretty accurate, however, is also inaccurate. There was a series of lights that are on Flower that don't even appear on the map. And what caught my eye is that we have a lot of dark zones on a lot of the long city blocks. And if you look throughout the city, it's pretty significant throughout the city, but then it's not consistent where there's some areas, there's a multitude of lights. And I'm wondering, when the initial plan was put in place, they supposedly followed this national lighting guideline. If you look at it, it'd be like trying to learn French overnight or something.
Yeah, it's challenging.
But I'm just wondering on updating that at some point in time for a little more consistency. And what I cite is on Flower, from Stevens to 10 Mile, there's 9 overhead lights. On Grove, Dale, and Latham, there's 3. If you go one more street over to Valley, there's 5. And I mean, it's like a huge disparity when you go into a long block, which ours has, I think it's 12 houses on it. So the houses in the middle of the block, I mean, if you ain't got a porch light, you're out there in the dark.
Are they the emergency routes, maybe? The
No.
second-
No, I remember
Flower is, isn't
I
it?
remember as a kid, when they first came out with a plan to do all the lights, there was a big discussion among the neighbors, and particularly on our street. And they went up and down the street with petitions that they only wanted lights at the main corners. So there's a light, as I recall, at Chesterfield and one at Flower. And one at Forest and one at Stevens. And that's all they wanted. But they particularly petitioned, and that had to be, I mean, I was a little girl, and I remember walking with my mother to get the petition signed.
But, I mean,
The street lighting process with DTE and prior to it, Edison, is a combination of working with the local community, but as Mr. Marion, you said, there's a virtual hieroglyphics series of standards about lighting and lumens and things. One of the reasons that we've gone into this, and this will be the most, this is the nice, we have a 3-year improvement program as well as an ongoing sustainability to light the city, to light up Eastpointe with LED, because the casting of the light on the LEDs is obviously more clear, stronger, and it aids in everything from crime prevention to, to overall safety and pedestrian and car safety. But to some great degree, what you have here from DTE, they're the control utility experts on it, and it has grown perhaps from requests over time, from DTE's placement over time, and this is everything that they cite as what was in place to do the conversion. It is probably worth noting, to support your thoughts, that as this project is completed, you may at points ask DTE to do additional evaluations about changes or additions in other lighted areas, once you see what the new effect of the LEDs
the fine print
are.
in the corner, this was done on February 8th, 2016. And there's significant mistakes on it. Like on the one on Flower, there's a pole that has 3 lights on it, 1 street light and 2 other lights that light up part of the ball field on Bellevue.
Yeah, well, these are just for public street lights, so if
Well,
they
this
counted
is on,
those.
this is on public street lighting.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
picture, there's a picture
If
of it.
it's got a number, it's tied to the, I think the representation, to be honest with you, that DTE gives you in a map is really kind of difficult to follow, because they're tiny little dots that don't have any
On your
perspective.
computer, you can blow it up fine.
It's,
I mean, it's
It's-
very readable.
their data goes to, each pole's got like a number on it. and they have a data list of describing where the pole is. And I don't think in all cases that description exactly matches what's on the map, too.
Yeah, but if the wire's connected to the light off the next one, we're paying for that.
You're paying for all the ones that are on the roster and list. And that, I mean, that's the number. When we have someone hit or we have some, we have to investigate, you know, a change in the lights, they are religious about, we need that number. When you put in an order request for replacement or an outage repair and everything, everything's on that number. That's the one that they utilize. The mapping, I don't know. I really look at that and say that's almost an illustration that means more to them than it, as you found, you know, that it does to us, because we have more questions when we look at it.
Well, the question I have then, how long do you think it would be before we'd be able to review this again to enhance the lighting in the city? Taking into consideration, if we do swap all these over to a lot of LEDs, we're gonna be saving some money down the road.
Yeah, 6.8
Maybe we need to
years.
reinvest it in some more lights.
Oh, I think, well, that is part of the overall program. We have we moved this to a fund of its own. We moved the lighting to be important. The prior council's policy was that we're going to be improving the lighting as a nature of that crime prevention, improvement, and safety for a long time. And the conversion, this final phase, I think, is the most dramatic one, but it is also just part of a longer-term program. So I would say, really, the complement to this program should begin almost at the end of installation or during the installation of the existing replacements that DTE has, in evaluation then. So I think by the end of this construction season, into this summer, we'd be able to judge that.
Because, I mean, the list, they show 799 lights being changed over, which it's got to be pretty much 80% of the city.
Well, these are all the neighborhood ones. We did the majors, the 9 mile, 10 mile, so these are all that they have left that we pay for.
Really?
So, yes, that would be everything else.
And when is the project going to be
Completion
completed?
date?
We are hopeful, and they stay on the schedule, that we'll be through this construction season, which to me means through the summer into the fall of 2016.
So when calculating this, did you do calculations of when you think this project will pay for itself?
Yeah, 6.8 years on this one. It's a little extended because of the change in rates was taken into consideration. That is still a matter of dispute. As you all know, we're part of the consortium that sort of won the first round with DTE, and they immediately filed a new rate case as well as appealing the existing rate case. So it'll be a battle, but we maintain good relations in this sense that work still goes ahead, but it's going to be 6.8 under the new rate structure. Now, if both of those cases are lost, in a sense, the first one can't be lost because the administrative law judge sent it back for a collaborative discussion and agreement. So that one's one thing. The new case may extend that 6.8 out sometime, but of course we didn't do LEDs only because of cost recovery. We did do them so that they would be an improvement to the community in appearance, but it may lengthen it, may not. If we are that successful, actually, in our case, we'd like to see this reduced. So
it's not going to, they're not going to replace the poles, it's just the lights.
just the lights, the LED heads, and the technology is already there, much like they did with all the major street lights. It's going to be the same kind of thing. There may be some adjustment because some of the fixtures are extremely old, and they may have to be replaced to fit the fixture, but they say generally they'll be able to work within the fixture they have.
Any further questions?
Yeah, so it says Detroit SN may furnish, install, operate, and/or maintain. I know we've brought this up before about owning or renting the lights. What is our current, what does this mean here when it says and/or?
In their
Also-
terminology, it means, I mean, we could, in some cases under the contract, purchase out or something, but That's not done. We have an annual lease. It continues for the operation, maintenance, installation, repair
And
of
that's
all the
currently
lights.
for every light in the
That's
whole
all
city?
lights, yeah.
Okay.
Well, except the accent lights downtown that the DDA does.
No,
And,
it's not on the map.
yeah, that's separate. Now, they are making us a proposal, because I asked them to, because those poles cost us, geez, what is it, $14,000 apiece when they get run over?
Complete one's about 18,000.
$18,000 a pole. So DT's making us a proposal to take over the ornamental lighting downtown, because I think we can save some money doing that.
Okay, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah, no, I think that's, we'll talk about that at DTA coming up, and
Okay. Okay.
Nothing else? All right, call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
and Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Item D is the appointment to the Assessment Board of Review. 2 regular members with a term expiring March 15th, 2019, and 1 alternate member with a term expiring March 15th, 2019.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to appoint David Van Ittersum to the Assessment Board of Review with a term to expire March 15th, 2019. Appoint John Markert as an alternate to the Assessment Board of Review with a term to expire March 15th, 2019. And appoint Catherine Fradnick from alternate to regular member with a term to expire March 15th, 2019.
Support?
With support, please call the roll.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. And we've tabled the review and discussion of the fiscal management plan till our next council meeting. So the next item would be item F, which is the adoption of resolution number 1809 related to the hardship exemption policies and guidelines. So we need a motion to put that into place.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 1809, which rescinds the City of Eastpointe's previous hardship exemption policy and establish a new hardship exemption policy and guidelines for the city consistent with the state law and the recommendations of the city assessor.
Second. So does that essentially just update the numbers in this table here,
Yes,
like it did last time?
yeah, same thing.
And how do you calculate these?
We really don't. We take the guidelines that are adopted by the federal guidelines, and they,
So they're federal guidelines?
yeah, the poverty exemption
And they're
guidelines.
nothing that we dream up, it's all federal guidelines.
Nope.
So then I guess my next question would be, can we just, if we're, instead of just having to approve this every year and we just use the federal guidelines anyway, can we just
Well, the
change
charter,
it as the guidelines go, or what's the reason we have to update it every year
the
then?
charter says before, and the charter was written before some of the state guidelines and that are utilized, but it basically says that annually the council will determine.
I mean,
So,
it takes 2 seconds.
yeah,
Just thought I'd ask.
no, it's a curious question, why you keep repeating, because you follow this guideline anyway, but it does say annually. So, yeah, you're right, it's a few seconds to do, but that's why,
So the hardship application, or the application for the hardship exemption, Mr. Blum, where can people get these?
They can pick this up either at the assessing department or at the finance department. Either place would have them,
And they turn them into our finance department then?
correct.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilperson Marion,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld.
Yes.
And item 8 is payroll and bills. We have a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Jump right in, jump right in.
Might as well make it worth the trip.
That's right.
I'll make
let
the
you do
motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $1,947,233.12.
Support?
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Marion.
Yes.
We'll move on to the second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? Mr. Creech?
Madam Mayor and Council, on the new business, the new generator for the fire department, the fire station, I hear you say it's coming out of the general fund, right? $92,000? Is that, this is the same question I've asked since it started. On our new safety millage, exactly what terms, or what's coming out of that? Was the new parking lot for the police department, did that come out of that? Is the new roof, I mean, if they're going to put a new roof on the fire department, is that coming out of that? Is this, I understand that these funds are going to the general fund, but at the end of the year, I don't know if the rest of the residents want it. I want a total breakdown of our original safety millage and our new safety millage, exactly where these funds are going. The city said we needed them, which in retrospect, in order to keep the city running. I want to make sure that this money isn't, I'm not going to say being used loosely, but if you start breaking into this general fund with other things, I'm under the indication that this generator should be coming out of that fund. And without a specific fund, exactly, I said, without a breakdown, where's this money going to come from? And Mr. Blumman said, I'll be seeing probably at the end of the year because I want to know dollar for dollar, cents for cents, and even Mr. Duchesne said probably at the end of the year, he didn't lie, there might be an excess of funds. But hiring the police, the new police we've got, and the new firemen we've got, there's going to be X amount of money spent. But where's the other money going to go, or where's it going to end up? Please, I'll direct that question to either the council, Mr. Blum, or to whoever really who wants to answer it later. And I guess I said, in the other one, the question I want to ask, and I discussed this with one of the council a little bit earlier, on this new actually system that you're talking about, buses, train, or exactly this transit system itself, I'm looking at more of a people mover than I am, a drop-off. And the thing about it, too, is I think it should be put out to the public, especially if it might even think about going to the November ballot. I mean, I don't think that people have the vaguest idea of where it's going to go, who's going to pay for it. I'd like to know all the information you could possibly give me. Maybe you should have some special meetings or invite everybody you possibly can, or invite the public just to let them know exactly what this is going to make, curtail money-wise, or because I think you're going to actually, if it's a people mover from Detroit to Mount Clemens, the city won't see any physical, monetary, or anything money through it just by moving it. All you're going to do is give a person a straight shot. And I looked at down here just at the mall. That's a mess. I mean, people get on, they stop, and then from them getting off in the middle of Gratiot to getting over your businesses, are you going to have access across Gratiot? There's a lot of questions I'd sure like to know the answers to, and I hope you put them down there. And to move the snow in the winter, where are you going to put it? Please, I'd really like to know, and I think a lot of the residents would like to know that there's been a whole lot of homework done on this. And if we have the right to vote, it's one thing, but if the city's or the state's going to force it down our throat, like everything else, we're in trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Anyone else wish to be heard at this time? Second hearing of the public is closed, and we'll move on. Let's start with Ms. Lucido today.
I just have a couple of things to announce that's going on at the library. March 3rd and the 10th is the Grown Up Coloring Club at 6 p.m. And on March 8th at 2 p.m., Joanne Yaklin from Prada Credit Union will be there doing a seminar on budgeting your money. And that's all I have to report tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Marion?
I got a couple notes on here from my dog. We've got etiquette classes this month on the 9th Wednesday at 6:30, and also on the 12th Saturday at 2 o'clock. Both of them at Rare. With the warmer weather coming, I imagine we're going to have some new people taking on that class. The other thing that my dog's real excited about is we submitted a proposal to the library for the little free lending libraries to have one of them put up at the dog park. They have plans to have 4 other ones put out throughout the city at Memorial, Spindler, Rain, and somewhere else. I don't remember the other park.
Yeah,
But there's 5 of them altogether. The other thing, this Friday, just a reminder, they're doing this spaghetti dinner at the gym for the East Detroit cheerleaders. Stop in, give them some support, they could use it, and it's nice to see something like that happening for them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. DeMonico?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor and Mr. Duchesne, I think what Mr. Creech brought up, it's a good point. It has been just over a year now since SMORSA took effect. If we could put a quick year in review, kind of maybe one-page memo trying to answer Mr. Creech's questions, make it a little more apparent. I know that with, the general fund, just, a lot of things in there, it's not very specific. So, I mean, those questions are very, I'm sure, popular questions with other folks, since we only have a couple funds that are specific, major local streets and that kind of thing. There's no specific public safety fund. But that would be good if we can get that by next meeting. Just who we've hired for the police department, fire department, anything related to public safety that would, was due to the millage. That would be good. And I'd like to thank, they are all missing now, but Lori, Lori, Joe, and Tony for their hard work this year. They definitely, Lori's, as mentioned, always in a good mood. She would be very enjoyable to work with every day. She's always in a good mood here and helps the residents a lot. Joe, great firefighter for the city, and Tony, who I now know his real name, has done a great job too. He, even without us asking sometimes, will come and answer questions about DPW projects, which are always complex. So, and then the two awards that I think are maybe literally concrete, that AEW won, that is great also. Good to know that we have a great firm doing our civil engineering. And then just a couple things that have happened. The Beautification Awards happened recently here. It was a full house. It was great to show off all the different winners' properties while we were here. They all also had a story to tell about, which was I wasn't even expecting. They all talked about the jobs they'd done at their house, things they had to fix to make it look like it does, the mulch they put down, planting a new tree, or getting rid of dirt after a project in the front yard. Some folks said like 10 yards of dirt or more. It was really nice to see. Everybody had a lot of pride in their house, and just really great to just have such a positive event. And then this past weekend, I was in Frankenmuth for some MML training, and they'll have next month the Capitol Conference Council. It is a great event. I went last year. It's in Lansing. Just have a bunch of different sessions on things that are relevant to what we do, and you also get to then, I know we all know our legislators very well, but you'll have another chance to talk to them, maybe other legislators that we maybe can try and change their minds about local issues, and it's just a great event that is sometime next month. I don't have the exact dates written down, 22nd and 3rd of March, something like that.
23rd.
And this Saturday, the 5th at 9, Sarah Roberts has coffee hour, like usual, at the coffee break on 10 Mile. And then on Sunday at 2, the Military Museum has a lecture. And do not forget to vote next Tuesday. And if you have any friends in Roseville, remind them to vote, because they have a millage on the ballot for advanced life support. So remind them for 0.35 mils. And then Taste Fest is the day after our next meeting. March 16th at Athena. It's a Wednesday. It's great. A lot of local businesses. And if I'm not mistaken, last time I counted, we have 67 places in Eastpointe that you can eat or drink at, which is very surprising. I did not think it would be that high. So some of those folks will be at this. The chamber throws it. Just come and eat all kinds of food. There will definitely be more than you can eat. And I think that was all I had, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Klingfeld.
Well,
Right, that has got to be one of the worst trips we've ever made back from work. The
Yeah.
weather was so horrible.
I apologize for being late, everybody.
We're
Took
glad you made it.
took about 2 hours to get here from Southfield, so if you could stay off the roads tonight, I recommend it. But I don't have anything other than that. Thank you.
And you don't have anything else to say, no comments?
Not right now.
Thank you for coming. I do have a couple things. Number one, putting on the Ritz is going to be happening on March 12th over at the high school. It's a variety show, mostly with our Eastpointe residents. You're going to be really surprised with the amount of talent that we have in Eastpointe. Tickets are only $5, and I happen to have a lot of them. So they're going fast, but if you're interested, it's going to be a really good show. And if you're a senior and just happen to be listening in, we do have a number of wheelchairs, and we will have high school students that will take you from the Gratiot entrance up to the auditorium and then back again, so you won't have to worry about walking a long distance. In particular, we have a number of people, and we've increased the amount of diversity, so I'm excited about the Ritz and hope that many of you will be able to make it. The RTA. The RTA has been a problem for all of us for a number of years. The concept came out maybe 8 or 9 years ago. Mr. Austin was on the Planning Commission at the time. So initially, it was going to be the Regional Transit Authority, and they were going to combine a couple of the transit groups together, i.e. DDOT and SMART. And that's not happening, and they will have 3. So that's one of the reasons we have been in major discussions. We have expressed your opinions, our opinions. Don't look at me and think that I'm the one that's pushing for this. I have had major concerns. Mr. Creech, you were talking about pedestrian problems. That was one of my big crises. Mr. Duchesne will tell you that another one is, as they plan this and they decide to put it straight down the median, the middle of Gratiot, which would mean eliminating our median that we have. We are very concerned about the cost of moving everything from light poles to utilities and whatever we may end up having to do. We have pushed and pushed for public presentations. They did come to our council and do a presentation maybe 3 months ago.
Yes.
And we've pushed for other meetings where during their presentations, they would allow the public to come. There is going to be 3 public meetings coming up. The first one is going to be in Mount Clemens, and we will be sure to have that information out. And I've already put Mr. Jakubiak and asked for a personal invitation to be given to you and Mr. Curley. I didn't know Mr. Creech wanted it, but we can add you too, Mr. Creech. I saw in the Planning Commission meetings that you were going to ask them to come and do a presentation to the Planning Commission. I'm not sure whether they're going to be doing that because they have a presentation that they're going to be giving in Mount Clemens. However, the presentation in Mount Clemens is just, I think, going to be about the types of stations that they're going to be providing along the way. Their plans include stations at 8 Mile, 9 Mile, and 10 Mile in the city of Eastpointe. There will be, and you're not quite sure what information we can provide on this because it all has to come from the RTA. So we're kind of at our wits' end about what more, so I would invite the general public to go to the meeting that they're having in Mount Clemens. The discussion, once they finalize this plan, it's an outside planning company that's putting this together and planning for all 3 corridors, which is Gratiot, Woodward, and Michigan. And once that plan is complete, it will be presented to the RTA board. On that RTA board, there are 2 representatives from Macomb County. One of them is Mardini, who used to be with Macomb County Economic Planning and Developer, or Planning and Economic Development, and the other one is Roy Rose, who's the president of AEW. So Mr. Rose is tired of listening to me on this, but he's only one member. There are 2 members from each of the 3 counties, And then the city of Detroit has an additional one, and then there's also a board member that was appointed by the governor. So they were going to make the decision whether they're to go ahead with the plan or not. It will be on the November ballot. They're planning for that. So they're talking about doing marketing. We're a little bit concerned. Just as an example, in one of their planning presentations, they estimated that there were 574 parking places. And Jeff, I saw that you had a note with 100 and some. They have 574 parking places in our 9-mile Gratiot area, and we can't count them. They're on private land. Otherwise, they're in the court or the library parking lot, and you know that all of those locations are being utilized. So I'm not quite sure where they're coming up with all those parking places. And they're talking about park and rides, and currently there are no park and rides along Gratiot. So this becomes a problem. And as you can be concerned, like we are, about the auto pedestrian problems, you also have to be really concerned with people getting on and off, because the median that we use currently was created as a buffer when people are walking and they can't get all the way across the street. So we have a lot of concerns. We've expressed our concerns. There was a meeting last week. Joe Marucci went to it. I went to the one previously. So we go on a monthly basis. We express your opinion, we express our opinion, and that's all we can do to follow through with that. Until you have a meeting. And at that meeting, then I think you should try to go and express your opinion as well. The difference between their planning of a rapid bus system and the current system that we have with SMART will be a 3-minute difference. 3 minutes. The estimated cost for the buses are $225 million, and I think the total cost is about $550 million, of which that taxpayers will pay the burden with an increased millage specific for the RTA. All right, that's facts as I know them. Mr. Creech, you asked a question about the new generator for the fire station. The new generator for the fire station, I'm just going to read you what it says for our background brief. We awarded the bid tonight, and the schedule for the replacement of the generator was scheduled for the capital improvement, which was scheduled for next year. However, it broke, and they had a hard time finding parts for the old unit, and so they had to move it ahead. Otherwise, it would have been in the capital improvement for the following year. So that's the reason why it was taken out of the general fund on a temporary basis. You have to fix those things when they break. All right, that's all I have for now, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Please call the roll.
I'm sorry, it was a supporter was, Mr. Marion?
Marion?
Thank you. Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Marion?
Yes.
Councilperson Lucido?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
It's adjourned at 8.